Finals between VGJ.Storm and Digital Chaos here for MDL Macau NA qualifiers. And it's game one, and it's time for the first draft. We take a look at both sides. VGJ.Storm, they ban out the Winter Wyvern, Omni Knight, and that tiny Digital Chaos. They ban out the Wisp, the Earth Spirit, Slardar, and they first pick Bane. While VGJ.Storm, they quickly pick both Sand King and Queen of Pain. So it's me here joined with Franz, and we're ready to take on this draft, take on this best of three.
Hello. So it seems like VGJ.Storm, they're banning out a lot of the sort of meta picks this patch. So Wyvern and Tiny and Omni Knight. These are three heroes that seem to get first phase a lot, or at least picked a lot in NA Dota. I think these heroes just provide a lot of versatility in the first phase.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Tiny yesterday from Qualifier. Got a double rampage in the final game of his set against Immortals. And obviously, I would say VGJ.Storm saw that and don't want to give it up to him again.
Yeah, and at the same time, DC, they're banning heroes that VGJ.Storm commonly pick, you know? You got the Stan King IO, and then you have Francis with the Initiators and Gankers, Earth Spirit and Slardar. And then they pick up a Bane of their own, so in a way, you know, DC's recognizing that VGJ.Storm, perhaps their plan, perhaps DC's plan is to strengthen their lanes by having two heroes like Bane and Puck who are really hard to deal with in lanes, and then take away some of the position 4 heroes from VGJ.Storm.
Does it look like, because I know Puck, he's been picked up early in drafts quite often, and it's because he's versatile in both, you know, could go mid, could go off lane. With the Bane pickup, do you think maybe DC are kind of heading towards picking up a possible Mirana?
Yeah, I mean, you have that sleep into arrow setup, but I think most of all, what this opener gives DC is a little bit of flexibility, right? So Puck, as you mentioned, can go mid or off lane, but at the same time, Bane can roam around pretty much anywhere on the map, right? Like if you go somewhere with Brain Sat, you can trade hits with enemy heroes like infinitely, and then if you go with Enfeeble, you know, it makes it really difficult for the opponent to last hit. So I think what DC is going for with these first two picks is just giving themselves the option of having a lane advantage in at least one lane. I mean, preferably they're going to get more than at least one lane with an advantage, but I think that's what they're going for here.
Yeah, we've saw it a couple times yesterday, and really more often ever since the Bane kind of nerf. He's been more in that support role. We've seen him kind of just sit mid, get the Enfeeble on the opponent's mid, and that's really what he's there for. Get level 2, get the Brain Sap, and just he's there to stop last hits and there to harass and help his mid win that lane, like you said.
Yeah, and you see VGJ.Storm, they actually banned the Lifestealer and Beastmaster, so I'm pretty sure that Snake King, who's drafting right now, is looking at DC's lineup and like, you know what DC's missing right now? They're missing damage and they're missing pickoff. You know, Puck's an excellent teamfight initiator, but so far, you know, VGJ.Storm, what the Queen of Pain is susceptible to is getting bursted, and so they ban out the Lifestealer just so they don't have that Puck and Fest Bomb. And then DC, they're banning out Shadow Demon Luna. So I'm not sure about the Shadow Demon ban, but the Luna ban kind of throws off DC's opener a little bit, because I think DC's worried about heroes that are really good at tri-laning, because I think DC look like they want to run like dual lane setups in the laning phase.
Interesting. I've seen a couple Luna bans. I just haven't really seen it get picked up too often, so it hasn't really been too popular of a pick, and I'm always sort of surprised when it does get banned out.
So I think this patch in particular, there's a emphasis on being able to actually kill people in lanes. I don't know, that sounds really simple, but you know, the EXP range got increased to 1.5k. There's 2 bounty runes now. Jungling is pretty much out of the question for offlaners, right? So there's a lot of value in having a safe laner that provides a lot of kill potential, because you basically, if you have kill potential, then the offlaner is scared, then your supports are in a position to sort of move around and get a lot done. You know, you can grab the bounty runes, you can mess with the offlaner, you can mess with the mid, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so VGJ.Storm, they pick up the Silencer, and then DC pick up the Night Stalker, who is picked up in the second phase. You don't really see at least recent, a Night Stalker make it that deep into the draft. And Night Stalker Bane, I mean, you talk about some rotation duos that can make something happen. I feel like Bane and Night Stalker are a very strong rotating duo.
Yep. I mean, Night Stalker's a little bit weak before the first night, obviously, so he's going to want to pick up levels somewhere on the map, or perhaps do a little bit of a dual lane mid. And then VGJ.Storm, they pick up a silencer, which I feel like the silencer is sort of a counter pick to both Bane and Puck. You know, obviously you cancel a Fiend's Grip quite easily with the global silence, but also it gives VGJ.Storm a way to actually lock down the Puck, at least before the Puck picks up like the second or third item Yules.
Yeah, that silencer, I would say, probably sitting in the 5 position. Sand King, I've seen off lane or 4. It's, you know, I've seen it on Bulba. I saw it on Zai earlier in the qualifiers. And Sand King, at least in NA, has been such a playmaker for whatever side picks him up. I feel like he's just such a good initiator once he gets that blink. And even before he gets that blink, too. So it's just a lot of solid initiation for VGJ.Storm.
So, I think Sand King, like the prevalence of Sand King, might be in response to the fact that Earthshaker got, I don't want to say Earthshaker got nerfed, but Earthshaker got kind of reworked in a way. Like Earthshaker's worse at solo killing, but he's better at team fighting. So then teams are picking up Sand King because, you know, Sand King can sort of still initiate. He still has a lot of damage potential, and most of all, you know, Sand King provides a lot of Sand King's a lot better in lanes, so like it provides a lot more lane versatility. Like you're not worried about sending a Sand King 1v1 versus a lot of heroes, whereas with Earthshaker, you know, there's a lot of lanes that Earthshaker doesn't win.
So Lycan picked up by VGJ.Storm. Lycan, Silencer, Queen of Pain, Sand King. You think it's their 3 cores picked up already, or do you think Sand King's going to be in that 4 spot? And with that Lycan, they do have some pushing potential. And then on the opposite side, DC, they pick up the Sven.
So DC, well, they obviously picked the Sven into Lycan for a reason, right? So the Sven, the Warcry is obviously good against any physical damage carry, or any physical damage in general, and then Lycan's not exactly the kind of hero that by himself is capable of stopping a Sven from farming. So Sven's greatest weakness, believe it or not, is if you stop him from farming, because he doesn't do anything until, or Sven's like want to avoid joining in on team fights for like the first 15 minutes until you get at least the blink dagger and preferably that BKB, right? And so DC's probably looking at VGJ.Storm's lineup and being like, hey, you know, we can actually, hopefully we can deter the aggression from the Lycan enough that our Sven can get farmed, and then, you know, the Sven's always going to outfarm the Lycan, and then sort of take the game. DC's going to probably try to take the game from the mid game, whereas VGJ.Storm, they have sort of a harder game plan, right? They have to use every Lycan ult with precision to take as much map control away from the Sven as possible.
5 seconds remaining.
Ban out Medusa, they ban out Batrider. Medusa, we've seen more in the mid lane, but is Medusa the right ban with what VGJ.Storm have right now? I would see, I mean, I've seen Queen of Pain yesterday go safe lane. Would Lycan be pushed to the off lane if Medusa was picked up for VGJ.Storm? Is Lycan good in that off lane spot?
He's okay. Lycan's quite tanky, so he's not bad in the off lane spot. I imagine I imagine what DC's thinking is, if VGJ.Storm get Dusa, it's kind of, I can't really call it a cheese lineup, but it's really snowbally, and so DC's worried about Dusa because Dusa's good against all the heroes on DC, right? DC don't have anyways, none of their heroes like deal with Dusa well, you know. Dusa's got high physical resistance, you got the mana shield, and then your ulti pretty much stops Sven completely in team fights. And so if VGJ.Storm had a Dusa, there's a potential that DC just get kind of 5-manned the entire game, or at least from the mid game.
Yeah, DC were playing that kind of lineup yesterday. They were being very aggressive, and that aggression led them to a 2-0 win over Immortals. VGJ.Storm, they beat Optic in a 3-game set 2-1, and Now DC, they finish up this lineup with Enchantress. So you've got Enchantress, Sven, Nightstalker, Puck, Bane. Is that an Enchantress off lane, Sven safe lane, Puck mid, or could they still send the Puck off lane, maybe go Enchantress mid, possibly?
5 seconds remaining.
I feel like you don't want the Enchantress in the lane against the Queen of Pain, and the Queen of Pain is most likely laning mid, right? So
Yeah, with
it does look like it is an off-lane Enchantress because MSS has selected it. So I'm pretty sure this Enchantress pick is sort of to help supplement their early game so that, you know, they can set up their first 10 minutes in a way that Mason gets as much farm as possible. Because, you know, VGJ.Storm, none of their heroes really deal with Enchantress. Like, if the Sand King, if the Silencer like, and if they all get in a position to attack this Enchantress, obviously MSS is dead, but you know, as soon as MSS picks up level 2 or 3, he's in a good place for the laning phase. So, you know, he should be able to get a lot done for his team in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, so it ends up being Sand King, Queen of Pain, Silencer, Lycan, Tidehunter is that last pick. Another hero that I'm surprised to see make it this far into the draft. He's a very strong offlaner at the moment. And then for DC, you've got Bane, Puck, Nightstalker, Sven, Enchantress. And based on these lineups, you really favor one team over the other? You think it's an equal matchup, or, you know, is one team really going to run away with this?
So I believe that everything on this game, or VGJ.Storm's game, kind of depends on two things. So I assume the mid lane's gonna break even, but if one hero gets ganked, then that's really bad for them, obviously. But I think the heroes that set up VGJ.Storm's lineup are going to be Ritsu and Snaking. So if Snaking gets a lot done on that Tidehunter, he's actually gonna push Mason out of the lane, at least until Mason hits level 6, or until DC's ready to pool enough resources to kill the Tidehunter. But basically, you know, if the Tidehunter goes out of control, he's going to be in a position to help his team kind of deathball into DC's base, because, you know, if Mason doesn't get farmed enough, then that Tidehunter pick, what it gives VGJ.Storm is sort of a vehicle to push the tier 3s earlier.
You also talked about how Sven's not the kind of hero to fight in the first 10 to 15 minutes. I've seen DC, it looks like they're kind of playing an aggressive lineup where, you know, I would say Sven might even get involved that early. Is that detrimental to DC, or if they get a good enough time really able to take these fights, is it good enough for Sven to really get that kind of gold, get that kind of XP increase?
It's hard to say, you know. I mean, both teams are walking into each other. Classic
NA with the Burrow Strike hitting on two. Flea hits it on both Mason and Bulba. They're trying to run away with it, but Flea, he gets taken out thanks to the help of Demon and Qualifier, who's really just on the sidelines, hitting away at these heroes, not being focused at all. Snake King getting a little bit low. They've got Stormhammer once again going to land on two of these heroes. Rioya trying to run out, but he's not going to make it away, and now they've got the slow on Sand King. It's falling apart for VGJ.Storm. A double kill for Qualifier, and 3 kills pre-Bell, or pre-Horn. It's a 1,000 net worth lead for DC.
I mean, DC played that really well. At the same time, I'm curious as to why VGJ.Storm decided to take that fight after their smoke broke. I mean, Francis kind of just stunned into his death, and now, you know, Qualifier gets the bounty rune, gets to start with a full double null talisman and an extra self, so this is going to be really troublesome for Rioya in the mid lane.
I was gonna, you know, I said earlier that Demon with the Enfeeble, he did take Brain Sap level 1, usually take, you know, a Bane, depending on how that situation goes, of course, before the Horn takes Enfeeble level 1 to help out the mid, but at this point, he's not even really needed. Like you said, he's got the 2 null talismans available to him. Demon, if he gets level 2, takes Enfeeble, could open up the lane now for Mason and give him a much easier time up top.
Yep. Yeah, you definitely take that Brain Sap level 1 if you're in a pre-rune engagement.
It's quite interesting.
The question is, Bubba's got that TP obviously, so we'll have to see where he goes.
This game is on.
I think normally what I see Bulba do is he goes mid, he tries to hit level 2, and then he goes, he roams around from there. The problem for Bulba this game is, you know, how much can the Night Stalker actually do in mid? And the Queen of Pain, like, you can't you can't exactly kill her, right? So you're pretty much stuck sapping EXP and zoning her, which isn't a bad thing, but you're basically dependent on where the lane position is. And then in top lane, you know, snaking's not the easiest kill for a Night Stalker. So it looks like he's starting bottom with MSS.
Yeah. You think Bulba's just
Plus-
gonna stick around down over here?
Yeah. Pretty much it's like, you know, the puck started with 2 null talismans, so Bulba probably thinks, hey, Korka's gonna be fine mid, so I may as well help MSS in bottom lane kind of soak up a few levels. You know, MSS has to wait until the 1 minute mark before he can get a creep anyway, and it looks like VGJ.Storm, they're rotating the Sanking top to help Snaking this top lane.
Yeah, both Snaking and Ryoya just already down to about a third of their health, forced to use that regen, and as I look away from the off lane, they kill Snaking just that easily.
That looks like Snaking wasn't watching his health, so kind of just got nuked down by Mason and Demon. A little bit of a curious death there. So I feel like this obviously gives DC the advantage in top and mid lane, and then in the bot lane, you know, if they manage to chip away at Ritsu's regen, he's gonna be in a lot of trouble, because Ritsu's got 10 tangos, 1 salve, and then it's also got that Viral Impulse. But you know, if MSS gets like enough levels, he can actually push Ritsu out of this lane.
You think maybe they send Demon over once he hits like 3 or 4? Try and help out, get this Lycan's lane destroyed over bottom?
I feel like Demon's going to stay in this top lane as long as possible, just because Sven's the kind of hero that needs babysitting, and I think DC is the kind of team that wants to secure Mason the best game possible. So we'll probably see Demon in this lane a lot, making sure that, you know, Flea and Snaking don't feel like they're in a position to push Mason out of the lane, and then at the same time, you know, Demon can get out a lot out of this top lane. He can fight for bounty runes, he can pull the small cap.
So Flea's over here.
In the mid lane, Koikfa's got a slight lead in CS over the Queen of Pain, but I think that's to be expected, considering that the puck started with an extra null talisman.
Yeah, and Ryoya is already down to just 1 shared tango, so his regen's practically gone, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble. I feel like Koikfa, with the 2 null talismans early, is able to just harass Ryoya pretty heavily, and it's going to have that bottle soon too. It looks like 2 of these lanes are just in disarray for VGJ.Storm, and now they kind of have to rely on Ritsu having a good bottom lane.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the VGJ.Storm, they're really reliant on Ritsu this game anyway, because Lycan's going to be the hero that actually makes tower pushing possible on their team. The real benefit of DC's last pick Enchantress is that VGJ.Storm don't actually have any answers for Enchantress. And I'm kind of curious as to why Flea TP top, because I feel like the only kill potential they had on Enchantress was at level 1 with all 3 heroes in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. Enchantress, very hard to kill once she gets that untouchable, and even level 3, it's just going to get harder if she picks up Nature's Attendance, where you have that heal, even if MSS does get a little bit low.
Yep.
Burrow Strike comes out on Demon, but he takes that health right back with the Brain Sap, and it's not really a big problem for him to trade too much. Flea up here, it doesn't look like he's going to get much done, like you said, and is there really anywhere he can go at this point, now that MSS is level 2?
I think this was part of DC's draft to sort of limit the amount of roaming that VGJ.Storm can do. You know, the mid lane for DC is a difficult gank, right? You basically, in order for VGJ.Storm to kill this puck, they have to be reliant on Koikfa wasting one of his defensive spells. And then, you know, in the bot lane, this Enchantress has a lane that she's gonna win anyway.
So So once it becomes nighttime, and if Bulba does grab that crippling fear, can he go over mid, get the silence out on the Queen of Pain and get the kill? And actually over bottom, Ritsu's going to be in a bit of trouble. He's ensnared with the stomp coming through. Bulba one more shot, and they just kill off Ritsu, and now all 3 lanes are in a lot of trouble, and a very advantageous position is DC.
I mean, Bulba could definitely roam mid, but I think his focus right now is in the bottom lane. And now that they have that kill, right, it puts them in a little bit of a lead on the bottom lane, which means that, you know, at 5 minutes, DC can potentially do a lot of tower damage with the siege creep.
This is looking like it's going to be quite the struggle for VGJ.Storm, and it's all off the back of that team fight that went wrong by the bounty rune.
I mean, I think it's more than that. I think that they kind of drafted a better lane situation for themselves. Bulba stops mid.
Yeah, silence comes over mid. Silence lasting for a little bit longer. The brain sap. One more shot comes in from Qualifier with the double damage. They get a kill over on Ryoya. DC leading 6-0. 3,000 net worth lead just 4.5 minutes into this game. And actually, Bulba has found Stan King, just going to continue to chase him. Has enough mana to get that Void once again. He's heading over towards these Ancients, trying to kill himself, but he's not going to have enough time. Bulba gets the kill, now running. Got the Quap on his tail, but Shadow Strike's not going to be enough to kill off Bulba, and there is no longer a chase. 5 minutes hitting, Bulba's going to use that Shrine, heal up, immediately smoke with Demon, and make a play over bottom. They're going to be looking to kill Ritsu once again. MSS still has this Centaur Conqueror, so they can get the stun, especially after the Void comes through and Bane comes in with a possible Nightmare. So Ritsu, he doesn't really know what's coming his way. Crippling Fear, there's the Void. The Stomp comes out. Demon with the Brain Sap. 8-0 in favor of DC. DC are just picking apart VGJ.Storm, and this laning phase is atrocious for them.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good lane for him to start, and you know, DC with this timing, they have 2 siege creeps now, or perhaps only 1 siege creep. If MSS uses that enchant on it, which should be able to do a lot of tower damage. Up in the top lane.
And they're gonna go after Mason. He has that Storm Hammer to stun Flea out. Demon's coming over. Maybe they can get a Nightmare to set up a kill. They've also got Bulba up here. The Anchor Smash used by Snaking. I don't know how much it's really going to do. The Crippling Fear is through onto this Silencer. They have more than enough damage to clean him up. And now, maybe Snaking stayed too long. Mason, Bulba, Demon all going to chase. They've got the Storm Hammer after the Mango's eaten by Mason. With the Dream Coil coming through, Snaking's in a lot of trouble. Illusory Orb, Waning Rift, and Qualifier gets the kill. It's 10-0 for DC.
Yep, 10-0, and MSS almost has his tower dead. I mean, he used the glyph to keep some of his creeps alive, so this tier 1 bottom is definitely going down, which puts Ritsu in a lot of trouble.
MSS trying to get that siege creep out of there. But it doesn't quite matter, as he's already taken that tier 1 over bottom, just 6.5 minutes in.
Yeah, siege creep gaming.
Is there an answer to this for VGJ.Storm? Like, what's their comeback mechanic? What's their win scenario for this game down so much this early?
I feel like, you know, they have to pull a lot of resources on their team in order to get kills, but they have that ultimate on Queen of Pain. They basically have to... Oh.
Just an easy kill. Continue. Sorry about that.
Yeah, VGJ.Storm, they kind of have to find a situation where... I think the Queen of Pain has to move to the lane where the Tidehunter's sitting, and then they have to use that, or VGJ.Storm have to use that Ravage to get 2 or 3 kills, and then they just move from there, because, you know, at this rate, DC is just going to continue to outfarm VGJ, because, you know, DC, they have that Sven, they have the Puck. Both heroes are really quick at farming and pushing out lanes.
Nightmare under the tower on a Snaking. Level 6 does have that Ravager. They're going to be forced to use it just to go after Demon. You've got 4 heroes coming top already just for Demon. MSS has made his way over top. This could be a little bit of trouble for MSS. Qualifier, meanwhile, gets a kill over mid. MSS is still here. They finally kill off Demon, and MSS just keeping watch on this tier 1 top. Don't have that glyph for some time. Snake King, oh boy, he might have stayed a little bit too long. He's not even going to be able to get a Ravage off. He's killed by MSS, level 7. That Impetus just doing so much damage, and they might continue to chase. Coming around the side is going to be Bulba. So if they could find a Void and a Crippling Fear, maybe MSS gets another kill. He's sticking more towards the lane. There's the Burrow Strike used by Flea, and it's daytime, so Crippling Fear
look up top
duration.
at Snake King. Oh, alright, he's dead already.
Snake King getting killed off by MSS, and MSS already 3-0-5, 5,000 net worth lead, 14-1 for DC. Everything going right. Really no answer, but the Shadow Strike through on Mason. Ryoya trying to get at least one kill. He's got that Sonic Wave available, but doesn't even need it. And I'll clean up Mason, who getting a little bit too comfortable in that bottom lane. Meanwhile, Burrow Strike on MSS, but really not enough damage to kill off MSS, especially with the mana for Nature's Attendants. Just sitting there denying all the creeps from this Sandstorm.
I mean, at this point, MSS is pretty much invincible in this game unless VGJ.Storm throw like 3 heroes at her, but that could be a waste of resources because I think the real threat for VGJ.Storm right now is going to be Mason. You know, Mason's probably going to have a lot of space to farm, especially if DC keeps smoking up. So Bulba and Qualifier, they're smoked up. Looking like they're going towards top at the moment. Oh, maybe mid.
So they have wrapped around mid, looking over towards Ritsu. They could start off with a Nightmare out on Ritsu, set everything up. They've got the Dream Coil available. And Demon just looking a little bit close. There it is. There's the Nightmare. Darkness going to be used by Bulba. Arcane Curse is going to be thrown through. Now 2 heroes are Dream Coiled on the side of VGJ.Storm. Sand King does TP out, but they've lost Ritsu, and that's all that DC really came in for.
I mean, it's a really good movement from DC. You see the kill only produced 216 gold, so DC obviously very far ahead of VGJ.Storm at the moment.
And they'll get another kill over here on Flea as Bulba's made the rotation, has the Crippling Fear and the Void, and just that high damage output from MSS this early in the game. They'll get themselves another one. Bulba gets the kill, 16-2, 5,000 net worth lead, and it is still all Millhouse for DC.
All Millhouse. So the next wave of siege creeps has spawned. So you see DC's picking out that top tier 1. Enchantress, I think one of her underrated features is being able to take that siege creep. And so, you know, it's not. I'm uncertain if VGJ.Storm can actually do anything to prevent this. They're actually smoked up on 3 of their heroes right now. Yeah, looking towards Qualifier.
He's used that Illusory Orb. There's the blink forward from Ryoya. They've got the Shadow Strike. 5 heroes are all here to go in on Qualifier. They'll get the kill. This is a 5-man rotation for one solo puck.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're hoping to get some damage on this tier 1 mid as well, but they're going to have to trade for it because MSS is putting a lot of damage on this top tier 1 and Bulba.
Tries to TP over, tries to defend this tier 1, forcing a Ravage out from Snake King. That also hits on Demon. They're diving past this tier 2. There's the Nightmare. Ryoya blinks in. Demon still alive for now, but the Burrow Strike hits, and Ryoya gets the help to get the kill from Snake King and the rest of his team. So 2 kills go the way of VGJ.Storm, but MSS still pushing with the double siege creep push he's got going on. And we haven't really seen Mason, and that's because he's just continuing to farm over bottom.
I mean, that was a really cool rotation for VGJ.Storm. They pick up 2 kills, but you know, DC's still getting more out of this. I think, you know, MSS and Mason were just farming that entire time.
And Mason, once he's strong enough, he's got double stacks in both his ancient camps, so he's ready to boost up that gold at a moment's notice.
I think like Ritsu's like 5th, tied for 4th bottom net worth right now, so he's not in a good spot. And Lycan's not exactly the kind of hero that farms his way back into the game. Since the hero doesn't have any real farming mechanics aside from killing heroes.
He might actually be in a little bit of trouble trying to TP out, but there's the Void coming through. The Silence of the Crippling Fear, Illusory Orb over the top. They'll even use Dream Coil to lock him in. Ritsu going to be taken out by the rotation of Bulba and Koikfa. He had a couple of allies here, but they got out. And they were nowhere to be seen to help him try to escape. So they take out Ritsu again. He falls below Bulba on the net worth chart. And it is just not looking good for this Lycan at all.
Mid, Fiend's Grip.
Come over mid, there's the Fiend's Grip. Immediately followed up is the Global Silence, so a gank not going totally the way of DC, but they forced out Global Silence.
Yep, and fully up in the top lane. Almost has his Blink Dagger completed, about 500 gold away, so... Oh, stanking.
Let's take a look. Crippling Fear. Void comes through. Thankfully, he picks up a Bounty Rune. Here comes Demon with the Brain Sap and gets the easy kill. DC with another one. That'll make it 18.
So DC's obviously very ahead, and their heroes are, I think, a little bit better at looking for pickoffs as well with the Bane and Night Stalker. And so, you know, VGJ.Storm, they're trying to farm up what they can. Their Queen of Pain, VGJ.Storm, they basically have to fight their way back into this game. There's no way they farm their way ahead of DC. So, I think that the next Roshan fight, or the next tower that DC tried to take, is going to be a turning point potentially for VGJ.Storm, because until then, you know, Mason's going to continue to farm, so DC's not really going to give a lot of opportunities for VGJ.Storm to get a team wipe or something of the sort.
Dream Coil was used over top. Qualifier, I think it did land on Flea, but just didn't get the kill after he burrow struck out of there. With the Sandstorm, the Waning Rift, double damage on Qualifier, it's enough damage to get the kill. The chase is on, but Snake King, no Blink Dagger to make up the distance between these two heroes. There's not going to be a Ravage coming through at all, and Qualifier really just able to stick in lane with no fear looking down the eyes of that Tidehunter.
Yep, and MSS is just dominating this game, top net worth. Picked up a fairly early Midas, so... MSS, probably one of the few heroes that can actually kill Tidehunter in a hurry.
Yeah, MSS. So when you see Enchantresses, I feel like Enchantress is one of those heroes that's just kind of pretty decent from all over the net worth chart. But when you see an Enchantress top of the net worth chart, you're in for a disaster on the other team. Just hits so hard. Meanwhile, the Blink in, Waning Rift, Dream Coil going to be used on Snake King. Now he's going to be silenced by the Crippling Fear. The Global Silence comes through. They're still trying to kill off Snake King, who still has that Ravage. It's going to hit on 2, 3 heroes. It'll end up killing off Bulba, but now they got to try and run their way out. The Waning Rift comes through. The Burrow Strike into the Fiend's Grip of Demon. They keep him locked down and killed off, so it's a 1-for-1. Fiend's Grip, Ravage, and Global Silence coming out overall.
It's a 1-for-1, but I think DC get the better of the trade because now Global and Ravage are on cooldown, so that frees up DC to potentially do something in the next 2 minutes or so.
No Ravage for just about 2 minutes, and then no Global Silence for a minute and a half. So that's quite a long time to feel very safe about pushing out or taking team fights. And you see MSS just continuing to push, continuing to farm in top of the net worth, 1,000 ahead on his own team's net worth. Meanwhile, over bottom, Qualifier gets the kill on Ryoya. That's a 3-time streak taken away by Qualifier, and he's got himself Blink. He's looking for Yule's next with the Veil. His farm's been impressive as well.
Yeah, Qualifier just gonna continue to push out this bot lane, or push out a side lane in general. Puck, obviously, one of the better split pushers of the game, and VGJ.Storm, their only way of initiating on the Puck is with the Sand King, who just picks up his Blink, but it's kind of a complicated kill for them. They're gonna need to somehow bring 2 or 3 heroes in order to kill that Puck, because Qualifier does have that Yule's up, and DC, they're actually smoked up on 3 of their heroes. Mason has a TP available to join this fight later on.
Yeah, Mason just continuing to farm up, and I feel like that's really the backup plan for DC. If everything kind of goes wrong, Mason still has a lot of farm, and he really doesn't need to show up to any of these fights.
I don't think he's really the backup plan. I think he is the plan for DC right now. DC's just trying to make as much, buy as much time as possible from the farm. He's taking no Ravage for 15 seconds.
And they Blink in, Global Silence comes out. The Eels is going to be used by Qualifier. Epicenter as well as the Burrow Strike right on top of Qualifier in a lot of trouble, but he gets out with the phase shift, avoiding that ult of the Quap. Still getting a little bit low. Finally taken out by Ritsu. The Fiend's Grip comes through onto Ritsu. In comes Mason, but the Ravage follows it up. A lot of lockdown on these DC heroes. They've already lost 2. They haven't taken anybody out just yet, and Mason's going to hit the deck. VGJ.Storm, just like you said, is going to come on the back of a nice Ravage, a back of a nice team fight, and DC lose 3, while VGJ.Storm, they take a clean fight, losing nothing.
I feel like VGJ.Storm, obviously they intentionally were baiting snaking there, but that worked out really well for them. I think DC wasn't expecting... Oh, bottom lane? No. DC wasn't expecting all 5 heroes from VGJ.Storm to be there, because you're never like, hey, why is the Tide under farming mid, and you know, why would the whole team be behind him when there's really no objective that VGJ.Storm are clearly trying to take. And then at the same time, I wonder if DC thought that Global Silence was perhaps on cooldown, or perhaps they thought they could take out a hero or 2 very quickly there, but
yeah,
really nicely done for him.
If Snaking gets taken out a second earlier in that fight, I mean, that's all DC, but he stays alive. The cooldown's back up for the Ravage, and that fight turns around, luckily enough, for the side of VGJ.Storm.
Yep, I mean, Global Silence nullifies a lot of DC's damage, especially because Mason wasn't there. So, you know, MSS loses like pretty much 2/3 of his damage if he can't use Impetus.
And Mason, you know, despite coming into that fight...
Smoke out from France, or from VGJ. I think they're going to use Sanking to initiate on the Enchantress here, but MSS sensing that something's going on.
Got the Wolf just watching him, trying to keep an eye on MSS, looking for that long-range Blink Burrow strike initiation. Let's see, it's still smoked up over on their side of the river, so all the way back is MSS. Now you've got 4 heroes here for DC.
I think DC sense something's up.
Yeah, everybody off the map pretty much for the side of VGJ.Storm. You gotta assume that they're either in, you know, invis or nearby. So, what I was gonna say,
comfortable with situations like that, just because, you know, they're still farming 2 parts of the map. And what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I don't know if I asked this. I completely already forgot. But Mason came into that fight for DC and was immediately taken out. Like, what was the problem, and why was DC? Why was Mason just able to be taken out so quickly in that engagement?
Well, basically, like, I think half of DC were either dead or they were like already retreating when Mason entered the fight. And then when Mason entered the fight, he started by using a stun on Ritsu and then hitting Ritsu, who was Fiend Script. Oh, middle lane.
Blink Burrow Strike on MSS, but has that Hurricane Pike to force him away from the rest of VGJ.Storm, and they're not going to continue on forward, but that is Quap showing that Orchid towards the side of DC.
I think because DC was already retreating, Mason just got hit by spells from like 4 heroes, and then got kited a little bit as well. So if Mason turns on his Mask of Madness and then gets gushed, he's losing like 11 armor or so. It's a pretty quick death for him.
Epicenter, Global Silence, Sonic Wave, everything thrown the way of MSS. I mean, he is top of the net worth. That's a lot committed just for an Enchantress. So it was...
I mean, it is, so... It's up to DC to try to make something happen off of this, right? Mm-hmm. And Mason has picked up his blink, so he's in a lot better of a position to help his team fight now. Of course, he probably prefers to have a BKB before he goes for an engagement. Oh, bottom lane.
Yeah, Qualifier uses this Dream Coil to stop the TP of Stand King. Will get the kill. It's another solo kill for Qualifier. He's been looking pretty good this entire game. There's the Nightmare out on Snake King. Bulba coming over. They're Void with the Crippling Fear. Silence him up. Qualifier just going to retreat. They're not going to chase a Tide Hunter twice. They've learned their lesson the first time, and he does have Ravage available where that fight could have changed once more on DC.
Yeah, DC obviously respecting the teamfight potential coming from VGJ.Storm, especially when Mason's not available and ready to fight at the moment. This BKB is pretty much going to enable DC to fight into the aggression of VGJ.Storm, or the team fight of VGJ.Storm, because I think, you know, before that BKB, VGJ.Storm, their team fight execution is a lot easier for them. Especially when you have two huge AoE ultimate abilities.
Haven't really seen DC be too aggressive off the back of these cooldowns from Global Silence and Ravage. I feel like DC aren't taking huge advantage of the fact that those are on cooldown. Meanwhile, over mid, Epicenter, Burrow Strike, they'll take out MSS again. Just getting hit by every single ultimate that VGJ.Storm has to throw with each of his lives.
Yep, and then VGJ.Storm, they finally get to take this mid tier 1, which should enable them to sort of make a bigger variety of moves into the DC base, but it's a little bit late, right? It's 24 minutes in. And actually, VGJ.Storm, they start working on Roshan.
They are going to be spotted out thanks to the enchanted creep of MSS. VGJ.Storm, they retreat from the pit for now, and they do have creeps pushing their bottom tier 3, so they got to worry about their base. Although their plan right now looks to be to take this Rosh when they can.
I mean, the Roshan's going to be a pivotal moment in this game because DC's going to want it as well as soon as they pick up that BKB on Mason. So I imagine DC's plan right now is they're just waiting for that BKB to come up, and then when it does, DC are going to make a smoke movement, perhaps go for a pick off, get that Roshan, and then try to get a Rax off of that.
So despite kind of not having the best of games for Ryoya, the farm is looking pretty decent. Orchid and now the BKB for this Queen of Pain. Ryoya is seemingly finding farm, while the first half of this game at least was all in favor of DC.
I mean, he's been steadily farming the entire game, and I think the big part is also he's gone some of the kills on the bigger streaks from DC off of these gank attempts, but DC, they're still 8k net worth ahead. Quick was always going to be in a position to push out one of these side lanes. He's got Boots of Travels, he's extremely mobile, he's got the yields as well.
They are back into the Roche pit. Illusory Orb is going to spot this again. VGJ.Storm being spotted in the Roche pit. They're not going to retreat this time around, or will they? Now they will. Let's see.
VGJ.Storm. They obviously want to deny this Aegis from DC because this Aegis will pretty much make it really difficult for VGJ.Storm to defend their high ground. And then DC obviously want it because it's kind of their win condition right now, because, you know, VGJ.Storm, their team fight's kind of one and done. They have a lot of ultimates with high cooldowns, and so that Aegis is super important for DC's ability to close out this game. That BKB is available on Mason. They are smoked up on 4 of the heroes. MSS in the mid lane, not smoked. He has a TP available though, so
the TP
just backing up.
With the TP coming in, VGJ.Storm, they've already retreated. The Dire Scan is going to be there to catch them retreating. These heroes might be baiting them in a little bit as Flea sets up that Epicenter. He's going to blink away from it, so Flea, it doesn't hit on to Mason, but it will end up hitting on Demon. Demon's going to be really low, trying to get away. One more shot. Nightmare to save his own life. The Scream was going to come in, but Flea finally finishes him off with the Caustic Finale. Heavy damage coming into Ritsu from MSS. MSS might be in a little bit of trouble as the Ravage comes through on from Snaking. Now they've got themselves 2 kills. Bulba forced to try and run away, but the BKB's been used by Ryoya. They continue to chase Bulba. He's going to get low with Mason here. Stormhammer maybe cleaning something up, but no. It's going to be 3 dead. They finally kill off Ryoya, so right now it's a 3-for-1. Mason hitting away, but he doesn't have enough damage to take on 3 of these heroes, and 4 die on DC, with now Qualifier forced to flee away.
That was a really good team for VGJ. I mean, how they started that was I think they predicted the DC smoke, and then they positioned themselves in the trees, and then Mason and Qualifier, they kind of committed all of their spells on Ritsu, but they didn't kill him because they caught Ritsu in a dream coil in these trees, and then Ritsu was just running circles, juking around the trees until the coil ran out. So after that, you know, VGJ.Storm, they managed to clean out the backline from DC and win the team fight from there.
Yeah, it seems to be crumbling for the side of DC. It looks so good for them, up 9,000 net worth at a couple points in this game. You take a look at the graph, down towards 9,000 at about 20 minutes. Recently back there at 28 minutes. Now it's all the way down to 4,000, and to me, seemingly, it looks like VGJ.Storm are right back in this game.
I think DC kind of jumped the gun there. I think ideally for them, they open their team fight with Bulba scouting out with that Night Stalker vision. Because I think if Bulba was in the front instead of Qualifier, because Qualifier TP top to sort of catch VGJ.Storm, because I think they sensed that VGJ.Storm was backing off, but I think that was a mistake because Qualifier couldn't see any of the heroes that were hidden in the trees, whereas, you know, that team fight would have went a lot differently if DC were able to initiate on a hero like Sand King or Tidehunter at the start.
So now Mason into this Roche pit. VGJ.Storm are looking to come in. The Burrow Strike hits onto Bulba. He's trying to run away. The Global Silence is going to be used already. BKB popped by Ryoya. They're still continuing to go on in. Koikfa going to be able to use that illusory orb to get all the way with his team. He actually doesn't jump towards it. Stays by the Ancients. Hit by the Burrow Strike. In a lot of trouble. Phase shift to avoid the Sonic Wave again. A two-man Storm Hammer from Mason with the BKB. Cleans up one. Ryoya is going to drop. Sand King's going to drop. Snake King trying to run away, but it doesn't look like he has enough room to make it out. He'll drop as well. 3 kills for DC. Fiend's Grip onto this Lycan. Ritsu dead as well. And it was a bad fight over top for DC, but they turn it all around with a Mason triple kill.
Yeah, no Ravage available for VGJ.Storm, and this time, you know, Mason actually initiated on targets that he could kill, whereas I think last fight he ended up running around in a circle.
Epicenter Burrow Strike onto 4. This is going to clean up 1, but not enough. Very ambitious play from Flea, cleaning up just Bulba and trying to stop this Roche attempt. So everybody dead on VGJ.Storm, and it's going to be a Roche for DC.
Yep, rest in peace, Bulba. Your sacrifice, not in vain. Mason will pick up this Aegis, and that puts DC in a position to actually break high ground. But I mean, last time I said they could break high ground with Aegis, they were 8k net worth ahead, and I thought they would be further ahead at this point. So, you know, VGJ.Storm, they actually still have the potential to come back into this game. I think VGJ.Storm have kind of proven that, you know, their ability to team fight is nothing to mess with.
Seems like when everything is online for VGJ.Storm, despite being down this much, they have the advantage. But DC, that last fight, they didn't have Ravage available against them, and DC took the fight a lot easier. Does it really come down to just VGJ.Storm having the cooldowns off for them, or, you know, can DC fight through all these ultimates from VGJ.Storm?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think Tidehunter's that hero where, you know, DC have to sort of, if DC want to win a team fight now, they have to be really careful with their positioning relative to the damage and stun sources from VGJ.Storm. And since Queen of Pain has that BKB now, it's actually quite difficult for DC to be in a position to initiate on her, unless they somehow open up with that.
Blink, Storm Hammer, Burrow Strike to avoid the BKB to avoid the Burrow Strike, but that's BKB down, and now on the chase is going to be VGJ.Storm. The Nightmare is through onto this Tidehunter. Burrow Strike hits on Demon. Let's take a look over at the fight by Ritsu. In comes the Impetus, looking for one more shot. They'll get the kill. Demon will drop, and it's a 1-for-1 trade, but coming through is going to be Koikfa. I think he's trying to make a play with a two-man Dream Coil. This is not going to be too deep for him just yet, as MSS and Bulba are here. They've cleaned up Stand King. 2 dead for VGJ.Storm.
It almost looked like a really good bait with Queen of Pain there, with Francis force staffing her away from the Sven, but DC managed to get that kill on Ritsu, which is the reason why they're pushing and continuing to be aggressive here.
Epicenter charged up. Let's take a look over mid. Burrowstrike only hits on one. Mason not in too much trouble, only down to about half health. The Stormhammer comes through. Impetus just hitting away MSS, as well as this Dagon from Koikfa. Cleans up the Sand King. Flea's going to be dead for 67 seconds. Has buyback, but it looks as though with that tier 3 retreating will be DC.
If they got the tier 3, Mason has to get mana to cast his ultimate again, so I imagine DC are just going to reset, take the shrine, come back in about a minute with that BKB and God Strength.
Radiant's bottom shrine has fallen.
They've put themselves at a 13,000 net worth advantage. And DC, if they stick the course, they should be able to finish this game out. VGJ.Storm, is it all reliant on the heavy team fight again for them?
I think so, yeah. It's not even just a team fight. I think VGJ.Storm have to position themselves really well in order to win these team fights. They have that they have that force staff on Francis, which I think will be critical to preventing Mason from getting an early pickoff in these fights. And actually, Koikfa just hit level 25 pretty quickly.
420 gold.
He's got that GPM. He's gonna start working on that Dagon, which is gonna be a huge issue for VGJ.Storm, obviously, but more so because, you know, Stan King and Francis are kind of easy targets for the puck if they're not too careful.
I think you should have just went with the Dream Coil Rapid Fire. I want to see it in real play. He's got the Ags, he's got the Yules. I mean, what, he wants Dagon 5? Let's get a little Dream Coil Rapid Fire going on.
It's not just gold for him, right? He can start buying support items, or he can buy moon shards for his team.
That's true. He also didn't go with the other fun ability, 40% illusory orb distance and speed. It's no fun Koikfa puck right now.
No fun.
All serious, no fun.
This is a serious match.
Just got sent to the bottom.
They do push down that top tier 2. The only one standing is the mid tier 2, but DC almost a 20,000 net worth lead, and VGJ.Storm corralled into their base. The Dagon already finished off. He was 3 recipes away just a moment ago, I feel like. And he's already got it, Dagon 5.
Yeah, I mean it's a Dagon recipe every 3 minutes passively, and then you have to combine that with all the lanes he's pushing out. Bulba actually scouting out 2 or 3 heroes here.
Now he retreat successfully.
Maybe could have seen snaking there, but unfortunately Bulba ran the wrong direction.
Let's take a look. Koikfa gonna spot snaking. They come on over. See if they have enough on the side of DC or VGJ.Storm to make a play. Blink Waning Rift. DC with the Dagon 5. Koikfa hits pretty hard, but the Barrel Strike hits on a Demon. So it looks like as though they're going to clean up at least one. The Ravage hits on 4 of these heroes. BKB going to be popped by MSS. They finally take out Snake King. They've got themselves 1 for 1 right now with the God Strength. Mason coming in, looking for a hero. Anybody, the Stormhammer. Just anybody, Mason. He doesn't find anyone. And they'll just take the tier 2 over mid.
Yep, this is a really nice kill for DC. Unfortunately, you know, Roshan's not up, so I'm pretty sure DC's going to be waiting for that. And it spawns in about a minute and a half. See, MSS's items are pretty much online now. He needed that extra range for the damage, and he has the BKB, so he can actually do stuff through Ravage and through Global Silence now. So, I think DC, obviously in the winning position, 21k net worth ahead. There's not much VGJ.Storm can do. VGJ.Storm, their only move right now is to stop DC from taking the second Roshan, and I think if they can't do that, then I think DC's gonna be able to win this one easily.
Yeah, it seems to come down to the high ground defense of VGJ.Storm. But there's just so much being thrown their way. Now with the BKB on MSS, he's going for the Silver Edge next. And Mason, he's got so much farm with the Daedalus BKB, as well as Mask of Madness Blink SNY. And then, of course, Koikfa zapping away with that Dagon 5.
And you can see how much burst damage Qualifier did to Snaking, despite Snaking having a hood. Oh, mid lane.
Listen, okay, Snaking blinking in, but nobody around for the side of DC. Hex picked up for Ryoya.
And by that, Hex gives them a lot of pick-off potential on Puck, so that's pretty much the only item that they could buy to prevent Qualifier from split pushing this bottom lane, but Qualifier's too quick for the Burrow Strike.
By the way, there's the fun ability from MSS. At least somebody's keeping it fun. You've got Ancients being pushed thanks to the enchant. Always nice to see something a little bit decently fun for DC.
Yeah. I mean, the untouchable slow doesn't exactly help her this game, especially when Ritsu and Queen of Pain, they're both BKB buyers. Obviously, Ritsu doesn't have it yet. He looks like he's trying to pick up a heart next just to increase his survivability, but I mean, the Ancients are super useful, especially with the auras and utility coming out of them.
Over top, let's take a look. Bulba coming through, but he sees these wolves, and you're going to see MSS, Bulba, and the rest of the team. They don't retreat just yet, but there's the Storm Hammer thrown out at Snaking. No follow-up to that damage just yet. Burrow Strike comes through. Dream Coil on 2, Dagon 5, and MSS just hits way too hard. Global Sound's going to be used, but it doesn't really matter. They've already lost Flea and Snaking. They look towards this Stand King Silencer. He's cleaned up. Double kill for Mason. They have buybacks on both the Tidehunter and the Sand King. They're going to use it. There's the big-time Ravage. Let's see if it turns into anything. Stormhammer on Aritsu as well as Flea. Fiend's Grip going to follow that up. There's no global silence for them, I don't think. And now Mason's got a triple kill. He's looking for more. Let's see if he can possibly get 4, maybe 5. Quakefa's going to take that one. There's the Nightmare. Mason trying to get something, but Quakefa just keeps taking the kills, and Bola's going to get that one. All 5 dead on VGJ.Storm. DC take game 1, 39-18. 40 minutes into this game with a very mostly clean and nice performance.
Yep, I mean DC obviously won the game from the laning phase, starting with that first engagement before the rune spawn, and then you know, they did really well in their lanes, which actually prevented VGJ.Storm's lineup from working, because I think VGJ.Storm, in order for them to win, they have to put their Tidehunter and a Lycan in a position to sort of death ball and push down DC's map control.
Yeah, I mean, DC, from that Bounty Rune fight to the end, were seemingly in control the whole time. When you take a look, 13-2 and 13 for Quakefa, Mason, 7-3 and 15. MSS was top of the net worth for a long time, helping destroy VGJ.Storm. And Digital Chaos, they look good coming into game 2, and VGJ.Storm, they gotta go back to the drawing board, turn it around, and hope they can extend this to a 3-game series. So that's it for game 1. I'm your caster, BCop, joined here by Franz. I'm at BCop92 on Twitter. He's at Hello Franz on Twitter. We'll be back with game 2 in just a moment. Stay right there, and we'll be right